All right, you ask about obstacles that got in the way of my career. I suppose the first one was the biggest obstacle was finding somebody to look at the chromosomes of these people that I wanted them to look at. Of course, everybody was busy with their own work, and nobody wanted to be bothered with something they'd never heard about. So I had to realize at a very early age, if you really want to do something, if you want something done, you have to get on and do it yourself. And the second obstacle was, well, once you made that decision, then there was a trouble of getting the technology working. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't get the technology working until I'd met two important people in the United States. And one of them was a Swedish geneticist called Albert Levan. And Albert Levan was one of the two people who had discovered the correct chromosome number in man. They show that it was 46 and not 48. He worked with his junior colleague, Tao-Chiuh, and Chiuh and Levan discovered that humans had 46 chromosomes, and that was in 1956. Okay. And I was now in 1959, and I was in Baltimore in the United States, and I had to give a lecture in Atlantic City to the physicians, the American physicians meeting in Atlantic City, at the Steel Pier in Atlantic City. It was a memorable occasion because there were 5,000 people in the audience, 5,000 physicians, and I was talking immediately after Albert Sabin, who was talking about his vaccine for polio. So of course everybody came to listen to Albert Sabin, and fortunately they didn't get up when I was came next. So they had to listen to this Scottish boy telling them about new discoveries in Klinefelter syndrome, and I guess that was an exciting time for me. But at that time, I met Dr. Tao-Chiuh, who was a cytogeneticist who worked in Houston, and he invited me down to, I told him my problems about how I was hopeless at making chromosomes. So he invited me down to Houston and to see what they did. And in fact, at the same meeting, I was invited to give the same talk as I'd given in Atlantic City to somebody in the Baylor College of Medicine. So I said, oh, I'm going to come down to Houston anyway, so can I come in and spend a few days with you? So that was the most important 2 days up to that time, because both Levan and Chiuh showed me how to make cell cultures and how to make chromosome preparations. And Albert Levan showed me how to draw pictures of chromosomes using a camera lucida on my microscope. That was before the days of cameras perched on the top of the microscope. Anyway, armed with this new information, when I got back to Baltimore, my first bone marrow preparations in chromosomes worked beautifully because I followed the directions that I'd made. And my little lab didn't look back after that time because we could make chromosome preparations in all sorts of things. And that's why I was able to make these chromosome preparations in the Turner patients that I just described earlier. So that was a big problem to actually get somebody to make, and I couldn't find anybody to make chromosomes. I had to struggle to make chromosomes myself. It worked. And so these are what I remember as one of some of the big problems in my life too.